In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, welcome all to the Jock Brothers. Let us make man. Another edition where we strive to give knowledge and wisdom to our community and our people. Tonight is such an important night. We want everybody to tune in. Tonight we're dealing with how to eat to live. In our previous shows, we dealt with medical treatment options during the time of COVID. We dealt with fitness training during the time of COVID, and we dealt with the mental instabilities during this pandemic. Tonight, we'll be dealing with the number one healing element, our food, our diet, and how to eat to live. Oh, it's such an awesome night we're getting ready to go into. I hope everybody have their pen and pads out. They're they're tuning in, they're ready, because we're going to indulge in some really educational topics that can help save lives. It is all with the food and drink that we put in our bodies that lengthens or shortens our lives. That's the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I had to throw that in there. So let's get started. Let's get started and introduce our wonderful panel of hosts and guest hosts. We wanted to start with our beautiful sister, Soldier, who steps up and helps out at any time we ask. She's so dependable. She's on all different platforms. She's everywhere. You turn around, you hear her, you see her. She's helping out on all fronts. Our sister that we love to have, our sister Mariam. Please give her a strong Jock Brothers round of applause.
The love is felt. Assalamu alaikum, family. My name is Sister Mariam Alima Warith, and I am again honored to be here with my beautiful brothers, Brother Kawi and Brother Ahmad. I want to continue to thank you for giving me the first opportunity to be out here in this type of element, and it will never go unnoticed and never be forgotten. So I want to thank you again for having me to be on your platform.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Sir. And we welcome you. I am your brother, Brother Ahmed. We also have Brother Jackie, who's on his way. You know, he's fighting the system so he could get here, so he could deliver the word from how to eat to live. And with no further ado, we have our great brother, Brother Kawi Muhammad. Please bring him on with a great round of applause. Jock Brothers.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jock Brothers Presents. Let us make man. Excuse me so much. Man, we got an explosive brother on the show tonight. I've seen him on several platforms, and every time I saw this brother, it just motivated me on a whole nother levels, whole nother spectrum. So, man, I got my pen and pad ready. Please get your pen and pad ready as we get taught how to lengthen our lives and live a longer, healthier life. So, with no further ado, look, thank you for coming to our show, brother. And before I go any further, I'd like to thank everybody that always tunes in to support the Jock Brothers. I mean, I really can't put in words how much we appreciate you tuning in and supporting us each and every week. So I just ask that you continue to do that. We are growing. We are trying to do big things for the community. Man, love you much for that. And again, you know, for those that have donated to the Jock Brothers platform, we so much appreciate the donations that you have given. But this night, we're not going to necessarily ask you to donate to the Jock Brothers platform as we usually would. We have another initiative that we have in mind, and that is our prison initiative. We have so many Muslims, whether they know they Muslims or not, that's incarcerated.
That's right.
And we are on a quest to get the Final Call newspaper in 1,000 prisoners' hand. We already called the Final Call office. We already got the prices for you. So we ask you to please sponsor a brother for you can sponsor a brother for 3 months for $18. You could sponsor brothers for a half a year for $30. And you could sponsor a brother or sister that's in prison for a year for $60. and they'll get the Final Call newspaper every week. We'll keep them informed as to what's going on the streets. So please, that's the initiative we got going on. We would like to reach 1,000 inmates. And if you know somebody that's in prison, that's in jail, that you feel need to get a Final Call newspaper, please inbox us on Jock Brothers Viewers. That's at the bottom of the page. Jock Brothers Viewers at gmail.com. It's nothing more honorable than giving. And this is a good opportunity to give to some people that can't give for themselves. So please donate. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see our Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It's $ Jock Bros. Once again, $ JAKQBROS. Please let's support our brothers that's in the prison. And with no further ado, back to you, Brother Ahmed.
Thank you, Brother Kawi. Thank you, Brother Kawi. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started with the show. Our guest tonight is no other than Dr. Akili Muhammad, affectionately known as Dr. Akili to all of his family, who we are now.
That's right.
We got him on the show, bro. You part of the Jock Brother family.
Praise be to Allah.
He attended medical college in Nashville, Tennessee. He completed his residency in the University of Texas. Dr. Akili practiced in a federal-funded health facility in Houston prior to opening his own private practice in 2003. Being traditionally trained in allopathic Western medicine, he has concluded that in medical society with the best technologies, the most doctors, medications, and medical facilities is not producing adequate solutions to restore and heal the body. As such, Dr. Akili now studies how to eat to live by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and alternative therapies designed to provide a holistic approach to restoring the body through nutrition and alternative therapies. Evaluating the whole body is what is needed in holistic health. Recognizing this need and the lack of information available to the society, Dr. Akili began offering a series of how-to seminars designed to educate and improve mental, emotional, and physical health. He actively educates society by speaking at schools, religious organizations, and community organizations. Dr. Akili continues to take time out of his schedule to address restoring your health in your kitchen, for he believes that the prevention is worth more than the doctor bills. Oh, please, with no further ado, bring him on with a great Jock Brothers round of applause, Dr. Akili Muhammad.
Thank you. Such an honor to be on this show, brothers. I've listened to many of your interviews. You all always do a wonderful job. And then, of course, I got to add my sister. So it's Jock Brothers and the sister tonight, right? But I'm going to tell y'all just this right off the top, man. That introduction, man, y'all raised the bar so high, man. How anybody doubt that introduction was live? I really like that.
Ahmed, go ahead, Brother Ahmed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, there, soldiers. Let's get to cracking atoms and saving lives, brother. Let's get off the ground with this. All right. I'm gonna be honest with everybody. I don't tell many people, but I was really sick in February, very sick. I really believe. Well, actually, I had COVID. I struggled for anywhere from 3 weeks to a month during the whole experience. And one thing about it, the believers came through, and they brought me all kinds of supplements. They brought me vitamin B, C, D, D3K. I had some fish oil. I mean, I had all kind of vitamins over here. I'm gonna be honest. I was in love with the garlic. I was popping the garlic harder than the vitamins, but I was still taking the vitamins in the water. My question to you, brother Dr. Keeley, was, I had well, let me set this up. I had an aunt that was very big on supplements, this is about 20 years ago, when she passed and they did an autopsy on her, they said they had a stomach full of capsules in her stomach, undigested supplements. Yes. So, are supplements good for you? Do it help? Is it the real deal?
Well, it depends, my brother, because we live in a world, as we know, where there's so much deception, so much lie mixed up with truth. And there's so many people that are concentrating on making money rather than actually servicing the people. So while I finish this answer, can somebody please go to book 2, page 93? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes a statement about vitamins and proteins and these supplements. So at the end of this, inshallah, we can read that. But, okay. So in the last, I would say, well, during this pandemic, of course, many people reach out to me and they show me their supplements and they want me to evaluate them for them. And I have literally had multiple Muslims taking supplements that had pork byproducts in them.
Whoa.
I have had multiple vegetarians who did not want to have soy in their diet have soy in their supplements. I've had multiple vegetarians and vegans have supplements that have animal organs and animal byproducts in them. And so that, I think, is just an example on how we can't just take it as a blanket statement. I'm going to go to GNC, or I'm going to go to the vitamin shop, or I'm going to go to this or that, or even some of these people, black people online. You have to take your time and do your research, because there are so many of these products out here that are made in a laboratory. They are not from food. They're not from a natural source. And if we don't know, anytime you see any product that says natural flavors, a scientist can go to nature, get something from a plant, go into the lab, change it up in any way they decide. And because they started from nature, they can call it natural flavors, but that's just another, like we started off with, right? That's a lie mixed up with some truth. And that, to me, is the problem when it comes to supplements. Are there some good ones out there? Absolutely. Are the majority of them garbage? Absolutely. And so we have to take our time and do our diligence to research. Now, I'll put this caveat, and then inshallah we can read what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. The minister has told us that the food is depleted. The food doesn't have the same type of nutritional factor that it had in the 50s and beyond then. That doesn't mean that we go away from eating the right food. And so I want all of us to understand that the word supplement doesn't mean it's your diet. Supplement means you're adding it to something else that you're doing. So that's first. Let's not think that we can eat anything we want to and not try to follow how to eat to live and then take a supplement and you're going to be okay. I don't agree with that reality.
Teach, man.
We have to strive on how to eat to live. And the supplement can give you maybe what may be missing in the food. But let's not be confused that if there's a low amount of nutrition in the food, then how is it winding up in your supplement? So let's get ourselves back into balance, right? Struggle for balance. We need to stay balanced and understand that eating the foods that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad lists in How to Eat to Live, and then using a good supplement that you have researched and done your diligence to make sure that you're getting something that is good for you, then I think that you may be on the right path. But I don't support supplements just in general because of the fact that people have a tendency to take that information and run with it and don't stay in the balance of that. Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
But that
I
was
got some byproducts in my stomach that need to.
Yeah.
That was so key about taking the supplements and eating anything you want, thinking that the supplements are going to, because diabetes, I had a couple of friends that with diabetes, well, I eat the way I want to eat, but I got the supplements. I take the supplements along with it. So I know it's going to help out. No, it's not.
Bad idea. And one other thing I wanted to comment on, bro. I had a patient in my years working in the hospital that had diabetes so bad and for so long that the nerves in her stomach weren't working. And so we call it gastroparesis, where it got weak and it started to expand. And we had the same issue when we did her, just some of the imaging studies that we were doing. She had months of the capsules. The medicine had come out, but the capsules wouldn't digest and wouldn't pass through her system. So she had some in her stomach, had some in her colon, all down in her rectum. So, I mean, I just wanted to mention that because, some people hear that and you're like, man, them people just talking that crazy. No, that's real. That some people are taking so much medication and their systems are so depleted that they can't even get that stuff out of their system. So that's a real reality right there.
Wow. If you don't mind, brother, I like to read
Yes, sir.
page 93. Okay. So I'm reading from the third paragraph of page 93, fourth paragraph. Now you may eat a lot of what you used to think was good vitamin and protein food, but those vitamins and protein are not there in the food anymore. When the vitamins and proteins have been taken from natural food, and then they got in parentheses where nature put them and where they should be eating, you then do not have the original pure vitamins and protein. When the vitamins and proteins are chemically taken out of natural food, it makes the food less valuable. The chemicals used to take out vitamins and protein from their natural place in food, and the chemicals used to keep and preserve the vitamins and proteins make it not too safe for us to eat vitamins and proteins in pill and liquid form.
From the man himself, right? And if I may add this, on page 176 in book 2, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes a statement at the top of the page. He says, the less you eat, the longer you live. And so I would just like to say this. We know we live in a world that is full of commercialization. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us that and how to live on multiple occasions. But we have to start rearranging our minds. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad should rearrange the thoughts of Black people, brown people, indigenous people. We have to stop thinking that it's so necessary to load the body with so much nutrition. Oh, I'm going to take 5 of my vitamin C and 25,000 milligrams of my vitamin B and 4 million pounds of this. We got to get out of that thinking, brothers and sisters. The less you eat, the longer you live. In that statement is a powerful ideology, and that is that when you eat your food is when you should be getting these vitamins, when you should be getting these nutrients. And here it is, the man that has the best health plan on the planet is telling you the less you eat, the longer you live. So are there times when we need more nutrition? Like, brother, you were talking about when you were sick. Yeah, during that period of time, you may need to take an increased amount. But to go in these extreme places that some of these people are out here talking about, no, that goes against the body. It puts more work on the body. And so let's start to rearrange our thoughts. If you're taking supplements, that's okay. But just understand that the same way that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, eat 1 meal a day, or eat 1 meal every other day, or eat 1 meal every 3 days. And as you go in that direction, you get healthier, and you live longer. Then it's the same thing with supplements. Take them with your food, but don't think that you have to load your body with so much because of these people out here that have made themselves so-called experts. But hell, look at them. They look like they're ready to die. Don't follow people that look crazy.
So just, you just sparked another question, I mean, the other people you're talking about. I mean, I guess the nutritional guru that everybody always referred to is Dr. Sebi. I've heard stories how people had terminal cancer. They were diagnosed with it, but they took his methods, his philosophies, and all of a sudden, the cancer was cured. Or there's no traces of it in their body no more. What is your take on Dr. Sebi in regards to, in compared to what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying in terms of, I guess, how to give yourself better health or cure these diseases?
Yes, sir. So let me first say, nothing that I'm about to say is in any means to disrespect or say anything in a negative manner about Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi was a great mentor of mine at one time because he's a black man that stood against a system that notoriously destroyed black people.
Come on,
Black
man.
men, black women, anybody that stood up against the system gets destroyed.
That's right.
And I believe that's what happened to him in that prison, might I add. But that man was a great example of how to stand against a system and have zero fear. And so I'll just say a couple of things so that nobody gets me misconstrued as I'm trying to say something negative. Every person out here that has a name that is very popular, we have all failed and we have all achieved. That's just the reality of medicine. I have a personal cousin that had her third bout with breast cancer. It had spread all over her body. She used Dr. Sebi's products, but she didn't live. Did I fault Dr. Sebi for that? No. You cannot take any person or any situation and just make a blanket statement. Every person is different. How did they function? When did they get it? How many different treatments have they taken? What was their nutritional value like? What is their overall ability to take care of themselves? What is their mental capacity to handle what they're going through? So I didn't say that to knock Dr. Sebi. I'm saying at the same time that many of us that are out here in this world of trying to help people, we fail sometimes and we achieve some good goals sometimes. And so that's just across the board, because I don't like when people say things like, well, Dr. Sebi healed all this and this and that and this and that. Yes, he did. And that's a beautiful thing. We congratulate him for that. But there's a balance to everything. So don't try to make people a God when you need to be finding a God for real to put in front of your life. But I met with Dr. Sebi personally on a flight from Houston, Texas to Philadelphia. We talked the entire way. I was impressed by everything because he's just as powerful as in person as when we see him on his videos. But what he said to me was that he started from how to eat to live. And then he went and he started learning something from a Chinese herbalist. And then he went down to South America, started learning from other people. And so he started putting all these different things together. Now, again, I love the man, great example that he set, but I put nobody above Master Fard Muhammad and the book that has his name on it that was written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what did he say? If somebody can come find this for me. He says,
What was that?
I'm trying to find a page. Give me
It's
just
in book one.
I think
This
Sister
is book
Mariam
one.
wanted to
I know
change.
exactly what he's about to say.
page 48. The
Yeah.
top of page 48, please.
We must not be confused, I repeat, with the various advice offered to us from the modern day food and medical scientists. If you take their advice and try to eat all of the different kinds of foods cooked in their many different ways at all different times of the day, and their many different suggestions on how much you should eat, you will most certainly die. Brother and sisters, I repeat, it will most certainly kill you, with the exception of the Orthodox Jews' food, which is good. That's not what I was thinking that you were going to say.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to say right there, because although I have much respect for Dr. Sebi, in his explanation to me of how he got where he went, he automatically went against the first book that he read. He went against the best health plan that I've ever seen. I read Layla O. Africa's book. I listened to all of Dr. Sebi's lectures. I listened to Dr. Alim. I listened to Afua when I first started making my transition out of traditional medicine. And I am here to tell you, all of them are great people trying to do a wonderful thing. But nobody can touch what Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught and how to eat to live.
Come on,
And when
now.
Dr. Sebi took that as his initial foundation and then started mixing it up with all these other things, that's why Dr. Sebi's plan is confusing, because he has so many different things that were brought from so many different parts of the world, and he put it together in a place that he might understand. But most of his children and most people out here that are repeating the words that he said, they don't know how to explain it scientifically, because you can't explain scientifically things that are going against each other. So we're not going to get into all those facts. Maybe we can do that another show. But I will say that I love Dr. Sebi. I respect Dr. Sebi. I think he did a wonderful thing, but there is nothing that can touch How to Eat to Live. And I will have that conversation with anybody, anytime, anywhere. You decide, and we'll do it.
What I was thinking.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, sir. What I was thinking you were gonna lift was actually on page 36, where the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad quotes, "Since being given knowledge by the all-wise one in the person of Master Farad Muhammad on how to eat to live, we should not confuse ourselves by studying the advice of all the people, doctors and quacks of the world on what kind of medicine, vegetables, meats, herbs, and fruits we should eat. If we keep getting advice on the above after getting the correct advice, we will never enjoy good health. All will be confusion." And I have that. I said, well, Lord.
Praise be to Allah. Brothers and sisters, now you can see why Allah put the man and the woman together.
That's
God, I'm gonna make it happen. That's a beautiful one right there, my sister. Show appreciate you.
Praise. Brother Dr. Akili,
Yes, sir.
what year did you come into the nation?
I got registered July 5th, 2009.
Okay, 2009. What made you pick up How to Eat to Live?
I was in the office one day, and this lady put all of her medications on top of the table. There were about 15 of them. And I was trying to, go through them and tell her what kind of a plan we were going to have to try to work her off this medication. She fell asleep on me. And I was cursing her out. I was like, you blah, 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 blah. I was cursing her behind out. And then I felt myself coming up out of a nap. And I was like, damn, why would you be mad at somebody and you couldn't even stop yourself from falling out? You see what I'm saying? When I went home that night, my brother, I promise you that book was calling me. It was in my bookcase that was right near coming into my apartment. Sat down and started reading it. In the first 35 pages, I only got to page 35 that first day. He said fasting was the greater cure of our ills. He said diabetes could be solved without medication. And he said that chronic diseases could be healed. And I was like, man, ain't no damn way this nigga know more than me. I went to school for all these years. Ain't no way this man who didn't even finish the 4th grade can teach me nothing. And so the next day I went to my office to try to prove him wrong. And I lost that battle.
Now
I started using How to Eat to Live for myself and my patients without telling them. And within months, I had people walking in, turning in their blood pressure medications. I had people stop taking cholesterol medications. I had people that were on diabetes medicine getting much better. I had people that were with multiple sclerosis and other diseases that so-called were incurable, and they were getting better because of what that man put in that book. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was so angry at that time. I was happy that I read the book, but I was angry because it was making me question everything that I had learned. I mean, those 3 statements right there turned many of the things that I read in medical school into a lie. Mm-hmm. And then he proved that it was right. And so I was angry that I spent all those years in school, all that money, had loans that were just, more than most people's homes. And, I just had to arrange things for me to gain confidence through that book and see the benefits of it. And it's been a journey ever since, my brother.
Man, thank Allah, man, for you picking up How to Eat to Live, because I came in the 90s. How to Eat to Live was How to Eat to Live was number 1 behind the final call. But How to Eat to Live really was just number 1. And we lived different. I was in my 20s, actually 22. We lived different, but How to Eat to Live kept our discipline and our countenance a certain way.
That's right.
The shininess of the skin shiny. We were all like ants, skinny with big heads. It was. We felt stronger. So I'm so elated that someone picked up How to Eat to Live, because really it's going to take a village to get all of us back on How to Eat to Live.
That's right.
Because since Dr. Alim, we kind of put it behind. So I'm wondering, I want you to talk about the 3-day fast, if you would. What are the benefits of the three-day fast? Why should a believer get involved with the 3-day fast? Why should I do it?
Yes, sir. The first reason that you should do it is because the man, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is undefeated, said so. And he was taught by God. That's the first reason.
Undefeated.
I'm not going to put anything above that, right? Because
yes, sir.
Let's be clear to everybody that may be listening to this, whether you're in the medical field, you know somebody in the medical field, I could care less. There is nothing that justifies the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can forget that type of talk. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is justified, was justified, always has been, and always will be justified because he got his information from the most superior place in the universe. So I just wanted to say that first. The second reason that I would say that we should do a 3-day fast is, again, back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, how he lived. He said if you eat one meal a day and you fast 2 or 3 days per month, at the end of that year, you won't have enough germ in your body to make you sick 1 hour. You tell me somebody else that can give you a guarantee like that. You can't find them.
Come on, man.
But that's not where he stopped. Then he said if you eat one meal every other day, you'll be sick maybe every 4 to 5 years. And if you eat one meal every 3 days, you'll never be sick. You can't find anybody that can give you information. And then there are plenty of people out here that are practicing this and proving it to be true. So those would be the first 2 reasons that I would say do it. The third would be there are many studies from around the world that are saying after a 3-day fast, you have completely renewed your entire blood system. Your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and the plasma, which is all the proteins and the fluid that takes the red and the white blood cells around your body. Completely renew that whole system in just 3 days. There are other studies that talk about things from a perspective of intermittent fasting or ketose diet, ketosis. All of that madness is just people saying what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in How to Eat to Live and putting a different coin on it. Just terminology a little different. But the point is that when you eat the right type of foods and then you go 3 days with no food, your body starts to break down fat. And when the body's in the process of breaking down fat, you are in the state of ketosis. And when you're in the state of ketosis, that is the best ability of the body to heal. And we do a thing, what we call autophagy, AUTOPHAGY. That is when the body takes a look at what's in it and will use things to make something new. We'll take the old things and things that are not working anymore and get rid of those out of the system. So after a 3-day fast, you're completely renewed. Now, what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also say about a 3-day fast is that when you do a 3-day fast, it becomes a spiritual fast. So if you do a 3-day fast, you are growing spiritually and connecting to the higher power more than you realize. And then the last thing about a 3-day fast that is amazing is that when we do it together, we grow in strength, we grow in unity. And as my brother said, when you see that shine in your brother or sister that you may not necessarily notice when you look in the mirror, but when you look at your brothers and sisters, you say, I must look like that too. And it increases the spirit of the whole brother and sisterhood.
Come on now.
Man, you blazed on that one, brother.
Yeah, you blazed on that.
I mean,
Wow.
That's what you did. Come on now.
I want to say something to that last statement
man.
because
hey, you asked him? Oh, yes.
yes, sir. I want to say something to that last statement because I heard Brother Elijah Farrakhan do a live and he gave a personal story about the minister. And the minister, just in a short quote, said, I'm eating for a nation. And just that little bit, if we are to pick up our cross, we are eating for a nation.
That's right.
We all have to eat like this in order for the next generation to surpass us. We can't have our children living to 240 years old, which takes me to page 53 in book 1 on How to Eat to Live. Right. He said, if we start our infants eating 1 meal a day as soon as they are able to partake of solid foods, it would enable them to live to an age of 240 years. When I read that last year, my daughter was 10 at the time. I said, well, he said an infant. That's right. She's 10. She old. So that day, I went to her and I explained to her, I think I had the book. And I said, well, I want you to read this. Okay, she read it. So you're going to eat 1 meal a day. My daughter is on 1 meal a day.
Come on now.
I'm just going to go ahead and follow his directive, and inshallah, if I bear more children, I'm going to do exactly what he said, because each generation has to surpass the next. I do want to go back to when you were speaking about medical doctors and, you know, them giving out diagnoses. I just recently went and got a physical maybe a month or two ago, and she claimed that I have high cholesterol. Now, I eat 1 meal a day, and the night previously, because I wasn't thinking, I mean, I had a lot of cheese and a lot of dairy. So, of course, eating 1 meal a day, that's the last thing that she's going to be able to pick up within my blood. And I went back again the next month, and she still said it was not really where it should be. And my whole side of my maternal family is in the nation. So I posed this to my elders, my aunts and my mother and everyone. And I asked them, I said, hey, because I already told the doctor that I was not going to take her prescribed medication. She was like, well, I would hate to put you on some type of medication. And I was like, but you're not. And I asked them, I said, well, what do y'all think about that? Like, do y'all think that I actually have high cholesterol? And my cousin told me, you have to remember that they are they're framing everything from them, not us. So if the baseline is them, then it's not going to be relevant to us because we are two different people. So the question that I have is, how do you recommend navigating on the outside healthcare and what they are giving as recommendations or prescriptions within how we should really partake that information?
Wow. Such a beautiful question. Let me first say that everything that you just expressed and the question that you asked goes back to separation. Because the first thing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does is challenges us here, right? So when he tells somebody, if you start feeding your child from the time they start eating solid food, 1 meal a day, and then he talks about the types of foods, your child will live to 240. That's a challenge for all of us. Because none of us right here, well, let me not say that. I've never seen anybody older than 110. I don't know anybody that's seen anybody 240. And I should say that I know somebody that saw somebody 180. I know somebody that saw somebody 160. And that was when he took a trip to Motherland and went to Kenya. They went to some of the back countrysides. And there were some people that were that age still herding cattle, still taking care of their everyday reality. But most of us as Black people in America, you say 70 and we start having joint pains. You say 80 and the person probably on a walker or a cane or stuck in a bed, because that's our reality, right? So when we start talking about 240, you got to start stretching the mind to think differently. And then when you start talking about all the things that we've just finished talking about, we're stretching the mind. I could never be sick when everybody in my family dies in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And so, sister, that reality is so true, because it's been known for as long as I've been in the medical field that most of the measurements are based on white people. They take nobody else into consideration. So we're talking about when you're measuring your child in the initial phases of a child's life, and they start telling you your child is too small or too big or too long or whatever the case may be. Hell, my child ain't white. So that's not an appropriate measurement. The blood tests and most other things are that same way. Now, they supposedly have started making some changes since about 2010. Whether they did or they didn't doesn't matter. The point is that we have to pull ourselves out of the thinking that they have contributed to us. Because the other aspect about cholesterol is that you can't really assess cholesterol by looking at it, right? If we're looking, let's say we're at rate, I don't do races, but let's just use that as an example, right? The white folks sit down and look at that attractive car. I mean, them people crazy. But just imagine if you said, I'm not going to watch the cars going all around. I'm going to try to find my car by looking right here. And these cars are moving so fast, you can't see nothing. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the way blood work represents sometimes. You took blood out of a person and you're measuring right here. Yeah. Were they making adjustments? Come on. Are they on a decline for some reason? Did they have enough water? Were they in a detox state? Did they just eat? Were they fasting? So many things that can make adjustments to that blood work. But most doctors can't think themselves out of a wet piece of tissue paper. So we just got to take it for what it is and put our mind on something different.
So I have a question, sir. I got like two questions.
A 4-part question.
Well, yeah. So, doctor, you know, I heard you. You went to school. I know that this is what you teach now. I know you have had conversations with doctors that deals with, you know, this subject. One is I would like to know how are those conversations going when you go hard on how to eat to live with those that can speak on your level in the medical field. And number two, when I go back to the 3-day fast, you say our body is renewed, our cells and all that are renewed. Is that renewing? Could it aid in building your immune system strong enough to deal with COVID in some cases?
In all cases, I would say there's not a case where a 3-day fast wouldn't improve a person. Now, the significance of that improvement is based on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. If you eat the best of foods, you see what I'm saying? So some of us don't know what the best of foods are. Some of us are doing the best we can. Some of us have no clue how to walk into a grocery store and pick the best of foods, because you damn sure can't pick what's the lowest price. You know, Elijah Muhammad told us about eating cheap foods. Right. We'll find that in a few minutes. So yes, the 3-day fast will help everybody that's existing in this pandemic, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the truth, right? We all know that as we continue to live, we look at the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said before some of our parents were born, and we can't find a lie. We can't find anybody that's taken any of his teachings and said, this right here is not true. This is false. He lied on this. There's still a $10,000 check waiting for anybody that decides to come up with that type of information. So at the end of the day, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us to eat the best of foods, and he tells us to fast 2 to 3 days, that would work in the pandemic as well. But the problem is that some of us have put our minds on what we think the best foods are based on taste, based on what mama's been cooking, or based on what my wife cooked, or based on what I cook. That don't necessarily mean it's true. We have a book, How to Eat to Live, that everybody should get and read. It's the best health plan, I promise you, ever. But then there's an MGT that get taught how to take that book and apply it to another level. Brother Dr. Akili, as I sit in front of you, would not be, let me repeat, I would not be as good as a practitioner of how to eat to live without my wife and MGT.
All right.
Come
So
on, man.
that's off the top.
Say that again.
That's the reality.
Right.
And I can't bend the
Come on,
truth when
man.
it comes to that. Now, on that same tip is the reason why no doctor that is a colleague of mine, whether they went to school before me, during, or after, can ever argue with me. Because anytime we're together, everybody looks at me and talks about how good I look. And I don't return with that same greeting. Brother, hey, Dr. Akili, man, you sure look good. I don't respond like that. I don't say you look good too. Like, you fat, you got gray hairs every damn where you look like you about to die.
Oh no.
And I don't say that to them, but that's what I'm thinking about their head. So to me, and I'm not saying that to put anybody down. That's not my point. My point is that their compliments of me is their proof that the life that I'm living has a value. The fact that I can talk about the different people that I've seen walk up out of diseases is unheard of in medicine, because all they do is treat, throw a pill, surgery, procedure. That's the answers. And many of my colleagues totally respect me in person, but then they run and they do a little gossip and all that kind of stuff, but it's okay. As long as they respect me when they see me, they're going to be all right. Talk behind my back if you want to, but eventually that will be shown as well. But at the end of the day, you know, that part of, I would say, my ego, and maybe even when I first started studying How to Eat to Live, how it kind of helped me decipher through what was good that I learned in medical school, what good that I learned through those trainings versus what was no good. That comes to give you a lot of confidence. you know, and there are many doctors around this country who probably would never want me to mention their names in public, but they send me their patients when they don't know how to handle them. So I think that speaks for itself, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to put any of my colleagues down. What you are hearing out of my mouth today, brothers and sisters, I believe was my blessing. It was a blessing that Allah put on me. So this is my journey. And so there may not be anybody that ever speaks about how to eat to live. I don't know what Allah's plans are, but if there's nobody else that speaks it like I do, it's because that was my journey and my gift that Allah gave to me. And that's the way I see it.
Right. Now, brother, there's a lot going on now with this shortage of food. And we spoke earlier about farming. So is this something that, you know, everybody's going a little crazy, but we should be farming. We should be planting our own food. I mean, I grew up in New York in the city, and my mother kept, we had all concrete backyard, but she kept the little dirt road, and she always planted something, and my brother keeps it going. But we always had food that we grew, always.
Yes.
So running out of food, is this something that we should be worrying about if we're farming and trying to create our own foods?
Well, as I know it, brother, the scripture says, come out of her, my people, so that you will not partake of her pestilence and her famine. So I think famine is for people that have chosen a God other than the God.
Come on now.
Because, you know, I have lived in Houston for many, many years and recently moved to Macon. And I'm like you, brother, everywhere I've lived, even when I came up out here in California, my parents had something growing in our yard. We had fruit trees. We had a grape plant. We had orange trees, apricot, apple trees. And so it's always been my reality to not wet grass, but to wet some food so that I can get something from what I'm wetting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, right now I have a plan within the next couple of months to buy no tomatoes out the grocery store, no bell peppers out of the grocery store, no onions out of the grocery store, and whatever else comes out of my garden that I'm successful with. And that's what I want to continue to do until I grow a backyard where I can be 100% reliant on what I'm growing and maybe the brothers and sisters that are in my region. Mm-hmm. And if we have a belief in Allah, when will a seed not grow in soil? Mm. When will there not be rain? When will there not be signs everywhere we go, right? I talk about this all the time. As I travel around this country, I like to drive. It gives me peace. Get in your car. You know, you drive from, let's say, Houston to California, to Riverside, which is where I'm from. The majority of the time you're driving, you see plants, you see nature, you see rocks, you see mountains, you see open fields. The minority of the time you're driving, you see houses and buildings and all that. So the majority of this earth is still available. Mm-hmm. And I save everything from out of the kitchen. When my wife cooks and cuts off the peel of a potato or cuts out the center of the tomato or takes out the center of the bell pepper, takes the banana peel, the apple core, none of that gets thrown in the trash. All of that gets put in my worm bin, buried in the ground around some food, or I put it in my compost bin. So if we're doing that on a regular basis, you are producing the reality of how nutrients are put back into the soil, which is what's going to put the nutrients in the plant. So when you pull the food from your plant, you know there's some nutrition in that, and you can start to improve your confidence that because I grew this food and because I prayed over this and because I did my diligence to do this right, I'm eating a food that's not nutrient missing. It's nutrient dense. And so if we start getting to grow our own food and we trust in Allah, pray in Allah, and make sure that we're formulating our lives in a plan of righteousness, as the minister said in the criterion, he said that as long as you are in the state of repentance, Allah will have grace and mercy for you. And so we need to be in that perspective, because the other thing he said, I'm paraphrasing now, he said that there's a relationship between heaven and earth. So we could take that and extract that. We're talking about we as people on this earth walking walking amongst the reality of this earth. And then there's God and his mind, right? So if earth suffers, heaven doesn't suffer. And so he said, if we get our lives going back in the way of righteousness, Allah will pour rain on your land and you will have no problem making food. If you're having a problem getting rain, if you're having a problem, and again, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying quoting him, but if you're having a problem growing your food, if you're having a problem with nature benefiting you, then you need to get back on your prayer rug and improve your relationship with Allah.
That's exactly what it said. That's a very good paraphrasing. Very good.
Praise be to Allah.
Since he was just talking about farming, I did want to know, and I know you're getting your green thumb right now, but is there maybe an herb that you would recommend that's easy to grow for anyone to start growing in like their small little, so we can get away from supplements, so to speak? Say like, so the mullein was one of the things that I took. It was in a capsule form from Whole Foods when I had the summer flu. I call it the summer flu because I didn't get any type of testing, so we don't know what it was.
That's right.
And yes, and so that's what I took for my lungs. Is there another herb that you would recommend to, complement mullein? Do you know much about mullein? What can you explain about that? And as well as what do you think is a good crop for us to grow for people that aren't necessarily farming, but for us to have something for supplements?
Yes, man. I think that's a wonderful question. My honest answer would be that I would always start with what Donna Elijah Muhammad suggests first. Okay. Because although we can go to, and we're not going to have no serious issue about pronunciation, right? You say, I call it mullein. Okay. But we're saying the same thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Mullein is an excellent herb that helps break down mucus and helps our body fight to get the mucus out. That's one of the reasons that they use it for lung issues so much. Now, I always say that I try to suggest that people lean on food. So another thing that does that is ginger. Another thing that helps with that is turmeric. So rather than spend my time trying to grow mullein, I'll grow turmeric and ginger. Mix that up, make a tea, put it in my food, or sometimes just eat it raw.
Some beans. Okay? Come on, man.
And put it in the bean soup. So that way you're putting all of your healing things together in your meal. Now, does that mean I'm knocking mullein? Absolutely not. Does that mean I'm knocking the black survival stuff, the elderberry, the sea moss, and the mullein, and all the things that every black person taking? Hey,
what about cod liver oil, man?
Come on now. All of these things are good, but in all honesty, I try to wrap my mind around what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. And if I can sit down at my bean soup and eat my bean soup and go through the thought process of saying, man, these amino acids are going to repair any broken or beat down proteins or amino acids in my body. The fats in this are going to help my hormonal structures improve. The sugars are going to help build my sugar stores so that my energy is right. All the phytonutrients that are in the navy bean are going to help my system. And now what else? I got the garlic in there. I got the onion in there. I got my turmeric in there. I got my ginger in there. And whatever else these beautiful MGT are doing when they put that bean soup together.
Talk about the MGT. Come on, man.
You can believe that when you wake up the next morning, your lungs are going to be clear, your kidneys going to be better, your heart's going to be beating a little better, your brain's going to function a little better. And so that's just how I put it, my sister. But to specifically answer your question, I would say all of us need to do research on what will grow in our regions, right? So like you in South Carolina, and now I'm in Georgia. There may be some things that grow in South Carolina that won't grow in Georgia, that won't grow in Houston, that won't grow in Michigan. But that's the interconnection that we have where, hey, look, I'm growing this mullein down here. Hey, I'm over here growing some basil. I'm growing something else up here. And when we see each other, we do that thing that we do and show each other love. And to me, that's what we have to grow to, and that's growing out of leaning on somebody else, right? And then also when we're doing it ourselves, then when I see you, I say, Sister Mariam, look, this is the way I grew them. This is the way I harvested them. This is the way I dehydrated them, or this is the way I canned them, or this is the way I prepared them so that they would last. And we know exactly what's happening, not chemicals, not tricks, not lies mixed up with falsehood. You see what I'm saying? And then when we're sharing things with each other, we know what we're getting, and we know the benefit is going to be great. Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You didn't. Just quick correction. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but my mother lives in South Carolina. So that is where the seeds will be planted. So
yes, ma'am. We right down the street from each other.
Alhamdulillah.
Dr. Achille, could you touch on mucus? You talked about it earlier with the Maline. Is it Maline?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was watching Dr. Sebi, and he was speaking of bronchitis. He said that's when mucus is in the lungs.
Yes.
But he also said Alzheimer was when mucus is in the brain. So I was, my grandmother suffered from that, and I had never heard that. So what is mucus? What does it do, to the body? How does it form? Could you talk about mucus a little bit, please?
Yeah, so there are two aspects to mucus in the body. And again, so that nobody gets confused, there's nothing I'm saying that is to cause any negativity towards Dr. Sebi. But I, as a scientist,
before you finish that, also the mucus that comes up in the lungs from pneumonia that everybody's suffering with now from COVID.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Yes. Yes, sir. So when Dr. Sebi and I met, we said that we were going to come together and have a public forum where we would discuss his differences versus my differences, or his differences for how to each live. And one of the discussions that we had was his statement on mucus. He makes a statement that mucus is the disease process. And I do not agree with that at all. Why? Because I've opened this body from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. There are mucus glands everywhere in the body. In every organ, there are mucus glands. On every organ, there is mucus on the outside of it. Why? Your liver sits in your body right next to the diaphragm. The heart and the lungs are right on top of the diaphragm. You got stomach, pancreas, intestines, all that under here, everything moving. If everything was dry, we'd be inflamed all the time. We would never be comfortable. We'd be uncomfortable all the time with these organs being irritated as we move. So every organ in the human body has mucus glands that produce mucus to keep things moving so that we won't have any problems with them rubbing and irritating each other. The second thing is that our body deals with problems with mucus. Mucus is like a fly trap. If you've ever seen a fly trap, the fly hits it, can't get off, and it dies. Well, the body is the same way. When it sees dead material, when it sees foreign bodies, it produces mucus. Mucus surrounds the problem, and then we cough it out, or we spit it out, or we urinate it out, or we defecate it out, or we blow a nose out, or pick it out your finger, out an eye. If disease was mucus, then all of us would be diseased in every organ every day. That's just not facts. So the reality is that mucus is associated with the cleansing of the body. Mucus is associated with the movement of the body. So any organ that moves, like the GI system, is doing like that, from the mouth all the way to the anus. What's inside of the system? You put your hand in your mouth. That's wet and it's oily. If you put your finger in your anus, same thing, wet and oily. If we opened you up and touched your stomach, it'd be acidic, watery, and oily. The whole system has mucus in order to keep that process from happening, just like I said with the organs, so that the food doesn't rub up against something dry, or the water doesn't run up against something dry. That whole system is made so that it works efficiently. Allah does not make mistakes.
So when we see mucus, then that means it's automatically, it sees something in our body that don't belong, and that mucus is designed to get a hold of it and get it out your body.
When you see mucus, that is a sign that your body is doing work of protecting you and ridding you of what no longer needs to be in the body.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
It's 8 o'clock. We have a brief commercial break. And I really hate to do it because there's so much, man,
Yeah, this
there's
is
so
good.
much
Yeah, I know.
information.
Pray
But
that you will learn.
we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, so we just have a brief commercial break. Give everybody a chance to get their pen and pads and get a
Yeah.
little more focused.
Thank you for joining the first half of Let Us Make Man, hosted by the Jock Brothers. The Jock Brothers would like to take this opportunity to thank the following sponsors. Hope equals life. Supreme Waste Removal. Design Systems Communications. DS Green Air Cleaning. Peace Coin. Design Systems Omnipotent Security. For more information about any of the sponsors, please go to the Jock Brothers website at www.jockbrothers.com. That's www.jockbrothers.com. Be sure to follow the Jock Brothers on all their social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell to make sure you always are aware of the latest video. You can also get all of your latest events and exclusive content at www.jockbrothers.com. And now get ready for part 2 of Let Us Make Man, hosted by the Jock Brothers.
Ooh, that was tight.
Beautiful,
Ooh, that
beautiful.
music.
So let me get you. First of all, before
I gotta
ask this
step my
question-
game up, bro. I gotta step my game up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, everybody just viewing, please share this video. Share this, man, because this man, again, he has the information that can help us live an easier, better, longer, healthier life. So everybody, please share this podcast right now. And so let me get right to the next question. Dude, it's a craze going on at my job, Dr. I want to say
Achilles.
I'm about to say Dr. C about CMOS. I just started hearing about this CMOS about 2 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. Everybody's putting CMOS in everything. They say it's supposed to give you energy. They mix it inside their juices and stuff. Can you tell me anything about CMOS? Is it helpful for you?
Absolutely. There are a lot of good things in the sea that can benefit us. And so when people use products that are based in the sea, like kelp, like sea moss, sea salt, all of these things are full of nutrients. And that's all that people are doing when they use sea moss. They're taking a plant that's from the sea, and whether you're putting it in a drink or whether you're eating it or whether you're making it into whatever concoction you're making, you are introducing a large amount of nutrients into the body. And so we're talking about nutrients in different categories, right? You have nutrients when we're talking about, if I sit down at my plate and I eat, you have major nutrients: fat, protein, sugar. The next set of nutrients would be your vitamins: A, D, E, B, K, C, right? And then you have micronutrients. And that's everything that's on a periodic table: your sodium, your potassium, just everything, as Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, everything in the earth is in the bodies, and everything in the body is from the earth. So that's what you're doing when you're doing CMOS, is you're introducing many of those micronutrients, which all of the body functionings are dependent upon. And so that improves the functioning and the efficiency of the body. And so CMOS is a very good thing. But as I started the program with about being careful and making sure you're doing your diligence to make sure that what you're getting is quality, There are plenty of people out here that are selling garbage as CMOS, selling stuff made in a laboratory as CMOS. So just make sure you're doing your diligence and make sure that the product that you're getting is reputable and that you actually are getting what you're supposed to be getting. Because let me also say this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it doesn't make a difference about following how to eat to live if your thoughts aren't good. Paraphrase. So we have to keep our thoughts correct. And I have seen people take products, whether it's CMOS, whether it's supplements, whether it's a medication from a doctor. Your mind is so powerful that if you think something's going to help you, it literally will, because you think it's so strong. But there's a difference between thinking something and then the maintenance of that benefit, because if there's nothing truly in that CMOS, the benefit will really eventually run out, because the mind cannot sustain itself unless it has the proper nutrients coming into it so it can do the work that it was made to do. So do your diligence, brothers and sisters. And if you need help, your brother's here to help you.
Praise be to Allah.
Well, beautiful. That actually goes into one of the questions that I have. We've been getting guidance within the COVID pandemic about taking ivermectin. And since that has been something that has been pushed to the forefront for us to take as something to aid us, it has also been pushed out into the mainstream media that they now know that we are taking ivermectin. When I realized that, and I heard it on, I think it was NBC or CNN, that they were talking about ivermectin being pushed out, I got the notion that, oh, we will no longer be getting ivermectin. If they are now have caught wind to this, they're not going to give you ivermectin. They're going to give you aspirin. They're going to give you sugar tablets. They're going to give you death itself. They'll give you the vaccine and the ivermectin. So with that being said, how do you feel believers or whomever should navigate finding the proper ivermectin if they choose to take that? I personally haven't bought any because of that. I would not want to spend that amount of money on something that I can't verify is the actual thing. Is there a reputable place that you recommend for believers to get ivermectin? Where are you at with that?
Okay, so let me answer this in way of being reasonable and making sure that nobody can twist my words. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have used ivermectin as a physician in the past. Never used it that much. I haven't had a lot of patients with parasites. But when I did use it, it is good for those things. It's good for treating parasites, is what we were taught in medical school. And I'm not talking about parasites like some of us talk about parasites and we don't really know what we're talking about. We talk about parasites and we see these pictures on YouTube or Instagram of these worms all over people's bodies.
Right.
Those are extremely rare cases. I'm talking about using ivermectin when people have tapeworms and these big worms inside their bodies.
Yes.
That's what we use ivermectin for. And ivermectin is a very good medicine for those type of things. It works on systems that destroy it and kills it, but then there's a process that you have to extract those worms out of the body. And so it works in those arenas, but it has side effects. It can cause liver problems. When you're treating worms like that, sometimes you have to treat 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And so that is when people are taking it for long periods like that, that is how some of them get liver damage. Now, we come to present time. Our executive council has talked about using ivermectin. Why? Because they're thinking for all of us. They're thinking for all of our people. Some people don't have the type of money to spend on some of these treatments that are out here, whether you are doing traditional medicine or otherwise. So I think it's very responsible that Sister Dr. Ava and Brother Ishmael and Brother Wesley and whoever else has spoken about ivermectin. It's very responsible to be able to tap into something that works and also something that people can afford. So I'm not going to allow anybody to take my words and try to make me seem like I'm going against something that our nation is presenting. So let's just throw that out from jump.
Yes, sir.
Would my preference be to suggest ivermectin? That's not what I do. I don't prescribe medications anymore. My suggestion is to use the ImmunoBoost 100. And again, this is not trying to present anything for no money perspective. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I have seen work with people. I've had people take it and they're working in the ICU and never got sick. I've seen people take the ImmunoBoost supplement and be in situations where they were around high-risk people and never get more than mild symptoms if they did get infected. And so I have used it since 2017, never seen a side effect, never had anybody have any problems. And so I'm just the type of person, when I see something that's effective, it works, and I don't have to worry about side effects, I don't have to worry about it causing any negative things, then I stick with what it is that I use. And so that's Brother Achilles' perspective and how he does his thing. But I pray I answered the question about ivermectin. And let me last say this. Brothers and sisters, there's something I think that all of us, whether you're in the Nation of Islam or not, when we start to see this country go against something that we start to do, especially those of us in the Nation of Islam, you can sink your teeth in the fact that there's something good about it. Ivermectin has had no bad name at all. And here it is that these scientists went and found that it was helping COVID patients. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember the media turning negative until the Nation of Islam started talking about ivermectin. And then they started talking about it's for horses, it's for large animals, it's not for people. All lies. It was nothing but propaganda. And I know doctors personally that were trying to prescribe it, and the pharmacists were told by the government, don't release it. Mm-hmm. Make it hard for people to get it. So that to me is proof. My father told me something when I was a little boy. He said, America's enemies are your friends and America's friends are your enemies. And in modern day and times, when you see the government, the CDC, the NIH, all these government arms promoting something, it's probably going to kill you. And when they're against something, you need to run to it. Don't quote me on that and follow that to a T, but understand the point.
Yes, sir. No, and I thank you for, I just want to say this really quickly. I want to thank you for answering that. And I just wanted to, again, implore people to, again, do their due diligence about where they're getting what they're putting into their body. We're not saying, we're not going against anything that our nation prescribes or gives guidance to us. We're in the fold, but do your due diligence when you go out and seek something, because we can't say that it is what it's supposed to be.
Facts.
All right, brother, I have something. Now, a lot of believers, specifically truck drivers, use this. You know, I eat a lot because I'm traveling. Is that an excuse to eat more than one meal a day?
Well, no, I could never give anybody an excuse. I could never support something that doesn't coincide with Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches. That's just plain and simple. But I will say this. I do a lot of traveling. I like to drive. And I know one thing that does keep me awake is something crunching when I'm getting sleepy. So I wind up, when I travel, eating sometimes outside of my regimen as well. Yeah. So I don't want to knock anybody that does that, because sometimes that does help some of these people that are doing certain jobs stay awake, be accomplished, right? Because if a person hasn't driven a truck, you probably don't know some of the ramifications of being a truck driver, like needing to get a load to a certain place by a certain time. So, you know, if crunching on some chips or some nuts or something like that is going to keep you awake and get you to your destination so you can put some food on that table and some money in the bank for the wife and the children, I'm not going to knock that, brother.
Not nuts, though. Me seeds.
Hey, people do whatever they do. I'm just telling you something lying. I don't eat nuts. But if that's what a person does to keep them awake while they're behind that wheel, I'm not going to judge that person. I'm not his judge. But then I also will go to the Quran, and this is a paraphrase. I don't know exactly what this is, but it talks about being on a journey and being able to make some allowances. So let's just, have a little mercy and beneficence with our brothers and sisters that sometimes may not be as diligent, maybe not as dedicated. I mean, I'm around people on a regular basis that are not as diligent or dedicated to how to eat to live than I am, but I don't try to put my reality on them. Like I said, I think this is my journey. I believe I'm supposed to be an example for how to eat to live. I don't put that on anybody except me. And so when I come in your presence, I'm going to try to implore upon you through my example that how to eat to live is the best thing you can do. Not by putting you down, talking about you behind your back. Brother Keeley tries to stay away from that type of reality.
Well, I'm a truck driver. I'm a truck driver, so I was talking about me.
Praise be to Allah.
You wanted a little grace, but
So, Dr. Keeley, we got a lot of audience questions. One
sir.
question I got from the audience is she has a friend right now that's in ICU, and due to a liver disease, she wants to know if there are any type of recommendations for herbs or supplements that can help strengthen his the function of his liver, possibly save his life. Do you know any? Can you answer something like that?
No, I couldn't answer that. I would have to know more about the person. If I was to say anything, I would be a liar.
Yes, sir.
Reach out to me if you're interested.
Earlier in the show, another question from the audience. You were saying as soon as a baby could take on physical food, he should go to 1 meal a day. There was a question in regards to I'm looking for that says that there was a letter written by the messenger that says that 1 meal a day shouldn't be recommended for the youth. Do you remember something like that?
Absolutely. And those are not conflicting statements. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives a range of reality for us. Mm-hmm. For those people who never want to be sick, they're trying to eat 1 meal every 3 days. For people that want to eat 1 meal a day and fast 2 to 3 days per month, you won't be sick more than an hour. There's a choice. Those are not conflicting statements. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that children under 16 should not be forced to eat 1 meal a day.
Oh, come on.
They should eat 2 meals a day. But the statement that he made about 240 years is for the mother like my sister right here, who has her 10-year-old eating 1 meal a day. Her 10-year-old is going to outlive many people because her mother was brave enough to start her eating 1 meal a day at 10 and wasn't going to deal with the consequences or the difficulty factor in that. So he said that if you start your child off eating solid, when they can get to solid food, start them off at 1 meal a day, they can live to 240 years. That's a different level of appreciation. That's a different level of diligence. That's a different level of dedication. That's a different level of belief.
Right.
I don't have the ability to judge anybody. But when I read the book, I'm looking at levels that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is offering us, and you decide what level you're going to take. Same thing the Quran says when it talks about the foremost. Brother Keeley's trying to be the foremost. I want no excuses. I don't see nobody doing something good that I think that I can't achieve.
Sister Mom, you want to say something?
No, I said Alhamdulillah.
Okay, I wanted, on that note too, I wanted to get into, on page 167, he speaks about the water, the intake of water. To eat 1 meal per day and nothing in between meals, not even a drink or milk, not even drinking no milk, pops or juices. You must not eat or drink anything between the meals. You must keep your stomach regulated to that 1 meal. And when you drink enough water to digest that 1 meal, then do not drink any more water between meals. Pay no attention to the doctors saying that you need 6 to 8 glasses of water with 1 meal per day. So that dispelling that whole myth about the 8 glasses of water.
Yes. So I 1000% changed my whole perspective on water when I read that book in that section.
Right.
And to be honest with you, brothers and sisters, I don't know how to explain that. I just know that the amount of water that I was drinking and that anybody else drinks, and the idea of a doctor telling you that you need 6 8-ounce glasses of water is hogwash. There's a scientific reality to how to determine how much water we need. And Brother Keeley just doesn't know enough to be able to explain what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. So I'll leave it there.
Not hogwash.
Yeah. Get down with the pigs, man. When you start talking all that madness, it's pig language.
He said hogwash. Yes, sir. Okay.
Dr. Keeley, I was watching you on the YouTube today earlier, getting ready to pose some questions to you. And you briefly stated something, made a statement about which we still do and we have to move away from serving our dishes in, we know as MGT and just believers in general, we do not cook with aluminum. So you go into Believer House, you're going to see glassware, you're going to see stainless steel and iron, cast iron. But we do sell our bean pies in aluminum. And as a person, I have a small service where I do small meals and catering. And I had something in my Amazon cart and I'm so glad that I saw you say that, because I'm trying to figure out a way for people to have either frozen meals or fresh meals and be able to cook them and have it still have my signature on it. But I need to be able to package it in a way that they are not getting harmed, because I know that this is aluminum. So my thought process was maybe using parchment paper. And so I wanted to ask you your stance on maybe parchment paper and wax paper as something to line the bottom. Even we can do that with, can we do that for bean pies and things like that nature?
Well, the first part of your question, my sister, I have to give the credit to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because Brother Keeley didn't come up with that, right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the believers in a letter that we should not use aluminum. Mm-hmm. And my experience, sister, is a little different than yours, right? In my career in the Nation of Islam and using How to Eat to Live, I've been, it's been a whole lot of believers' homes. And the majority of them are cooking in aluminum pans, using aluminum dishes to put their hot food in, and covering their food with aluminum foil. So we're not following that mandate. I hope nobody gets upset at me. I'm just telling the truth.
And tell the truth, man. Thank you.
Speak truth regardless of circumstances, right?
Come on, man.
I think I am going to continue to say it until I see people not doing it. I do not see many believers with the glass and the cast iron or the stainless steel. I don't. I see more people with aluminum. I have visited mosques around this city, around this country, and people are being served in aluminum. Our bean pies are in aluminum. We have to find a way to come out of that. Brother Keeley doesn't have all the answers. Those of you who bake, those of you who cook, those of you who do that, that's your line of work. Y'all figure it out, because I don't have the answers. But what I do know is that when you use parchment paper and wax paper, those are porous. So if you put parchment paper or wax paper in aluminum, it's going to decrease, but you're still going to get some aluminum into your food, especially when the food is hot and it is oily, buttery, greasy. That's when you have the largest amount of exchange of aluminum from the pan, pot, or the aluminum foil into your food. So I think you asked an excellent question, my sister. We have to get away from it. But again, Brother Keeley doesn't have all the answers. But for those of you like you in your field and other believers around the country that cook for people, regardless of whether they're in the nation or not, we have to raise our level of responsibility, because when that person starts losing their memory, or that person starts having kidney problems, or that person starts having heavy metal issues, you are part of the problem. So let's work on not being part of the problem.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Hey, brother, Dr. Keeley, a question about the mathematics that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us with 1 meal a day, and is eating at the proper time every day. So scientifically, medically, can you talk about the value of eating at the proper time?
Absolutely. So let me first say there are two statements. So for all of the people that make one statement or the other, and I'm sorry, I don't have it, but anyway, you all can go to Your How to Eat to Live and find this. In book 1, he says 1 meal a day from 4 to 6. Mm-hmm. In book 2, he says 1 meal a day between 4 or 6. Mm-hmm. So that's two different statements. Does Brother Keeley know what he meant? Not at all.
Come on now.
But what I do know is that the sun is at its zenith at 3 o'clock. So after 3, the sun is on a decline. These human bodies are directly tied to the earth traveling around the sun. So when the sun comes up, which it looked like the sun comes up, we are traveling, right, and turning. And as the sun looks like it's coming up, our bodies are starting to increase in activity. The whole system is gearing up for the day ahead. In the evening time, our bodies start to settle down. That's why we get tired in the evening a lot of times. And so as that declining of the body is occurring, we should be digesting our food before the body gets too deep into that process. So we shouldn't be eating very late, right? But that is the process by which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us this perfect science.
Right.
Now, what did he say to keep us from having to have arguments? If you eat at 10 p.m. every day, just try to eat your meal every day at around the same time. So we don't need to get ourselves all caught up into, I'm never home at 4 o'clock. Stop beating yourself up about it.
Come on,
Just
man.
find a time that's reasonable for you, your family, your lifestyle, and try to be diligent at doing that meal. He didn't say perfect. He said around the same time. So just work on trying to do the best you can. And I'm saying that, brothers and sisters, because a lot of times when I meet with people, we give up trying to split hairs.
Come on, man.
We stop trying because we don't necessarily totally understand. Just get into the book and do the best you can. I promise you, if you're not a member of the Nation of Islam, I promise you, 1 week, 2 weeks, you'll be absolutely convinced. And for those in the Nation of Islam who used to be all about it back in the day, and then you put it down and now it's got dust on it, pick it back up. It's the best thing you can do. Just try your best.
I love it. I love it, bro. I love it.
Praise be to Allah. I can't take credit. I can't take credit for nothing I'm saying, because if it was
I
up to me,
apologize.
I'd be telling you to take a vaccine.
I apologize, mother.
What now? What about all these? I know you went into some of the other supplements, but apple cider vinegar.
Yes, sir.
What's the benefits? Is it so? Some people starting to live by it. Is it something? Is the benefits? What are the benefits?
Well, apple cider vinegar, of course, is from apples. Apples have very, very, very good amounts of phytonutrients. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in How to Eat to Live not to eat fermented foods. But when it comes to the apple, apple cider vinegar, I don't necessarily know if that's a fermented food. It is a juice that comes from the apple that phytonutrients continue to grow in their benefit as they get older, right? It's like a piece of fruit in its ability to become more sweet. As a piece of fruit becomes more sweet, it is increasing in the beneficial things that it can add to the body. And so that is what I do know about apple cider vinegar, but I haven't studied apple cider vinegar in depth to know all of the benefits, but I do know that it is good.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes.
What book was the not eating of fermented foods? That book too?
Yes, that's in book 2. I don't remember the page. I have to find it and get back to y'all.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I have it on my notes.
Jackie got it.
No.
No, I'm so glad that I'm just getting into book 2 myself, and I'm glad that you raised that before I was able to get to it, because that was one of the things that I was going to try to get into doing was fermenting foods, but no need. It's not in our lifestyle. They
Not
can
at
have
all.
it. Okay.
All right. One of our guests asks, "Is yogurt? Could yogurt be considered fermented?"
No, I don't think yogurt is fermented. Yogurt is aged.
Yes.
You know, and there is a difference, because in fermented foods, you're talking about a sugar process where the food is getting old and it's producing more like gas and other things like that. I don't know if that's what Donald Washington was talking about. I'm just saying what I know about fermented foods. When you're talking about milk and milk products, as milk products age, they increase in the beneficial things, like I was just talking about the fruit. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also says don't eat aged cheese. So there's a limit to that as well. I don't have that exact science, but yogurt If I can't remember if he mentions that in, I think he does mention that how to live. I just don't know what page. But no, he mentions yogurt.
Mm,
Okay.
okay. You
Well,
got it,
praise
you got it,
be to
Sister Mom? You gonna find that too?
I'm looking.
Come on. We
And one
expect
last
you to get
thing.
that stuff real quick.
One last thing I want to ask you. Milk. I heard there are a lot of positive properties in milk. And I'm just, you say you do not. I used to try to do one meal a day, but I used to drink a lot of milk between that one meal.
Yes.
It helped me. I thought I was doing something positive with it until Brother Ahmed schooled me on it. But let me ask you, can you take milk as a meal? Can milk be considered a meal? And then on top of that, what are the benefits of just milk, raw milk straight from the cow?
So my first answer would be the Quran says that milk is agreeable to the drinker. So if the Quran says it and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says it's good, I don't give a damn who says it's bad. I'm going with those two. That's number one. Number two, we should all look at milk as a meal. Why? Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that milk and whole wheat bread can keep you alive indefinitely. So you all go do yourselves a favor and look up the word indefinitely, and that has to be a meal because, like we said, everything that he said is going to come to fruition at some point. Now, what are the benefits of milk? Number one, they are very similar as far as the amino acids to navy beans, but you don't have to do any digestion, right? When you drink milk, a little bit of processing in the stomach goes right into the system. It is very high in glutathione, like the navy bean, which is the most powerful antioxidant that we know. There are immune cells in the milk. There are a lot of things in the milk that just help the body, and we don't have to do a lot of work to get those beneficial things into the body. And so that's just a few things that makes milk so powerful. Now, I will say that we can't trust all milk. And Brother Keeley is not talking about milk out the grocery store, because in most states, you can't get whole milk that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is talking about in a grocery store. So you do need to know the questions to ask when you go visit these farms. Just because these people are out here doing something a little different don't mean they're doing right. So make sure that you ask the right questions. If you don't know what those are, reach out to me. I'll get those to you. And then the second thing is that if you are not raising the cows and milking them yourselves, you probably should be pasteurizing it. 160 degrees, 3 minutes, cool it down as fast as you can, and then use it as you may. But that would be the safe way based on my understanding of the benefits of how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we should drink that milk.
You know, brother, I hearing you, brother, like that fire, you know, and it's something, I mean, and this is just me. It seems like the more we partake in this king's meat and his food, and we become more docile and domesticated. And I remember, brother, I mean, the how to eat to live, brother.
Well, it's my passion, my bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, what I said earlier about how to eat to live changed everything for me. It was a painful journey. I mean, to go to school for as many years as I did, to spend as much money, to dedicate myself to my craft. I wasn't average. I've never been average. I believe I'm one of the best to this day.
Come on, man.
Allah took me from that and put me on a different journey. And so this is my life. I can't play with this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
if y'all hear passion come out of me, I don't apologize for it, because it's what Allah put in me.
Right.
It's what my father and my mother put in me with their journey and their raising me. So I am a product of what Allah allowed to happen in my life. And I pray that my passion gives you some passion. But at the end of the day,
Praise be to Allah.
I'll say this, that if we, as members of the Nation of Islam, were practicing how to eat to live with the fervent nature that we should, we would go through this pandemic and there would hardly be, or there would be no sick Muslims. and there'll be no diabetic Muslims, no high blood pressure Muslims, no high cholesterol Muslims, no stroke Muslims, no liver problem Muslims, no kidney failure Muslims, and the whole world would be saying they got to have what I need.
So that means we won't have these underlying issues that are plaguing our community right now, because we just lost another brother due to COVID, and underlying issues was a factor. And
again, bro, I'm not trying to say anything negative about anybody. I hope nobody takes my words in that manner.
Brother. No,
I'm not trying to say anything to slight any person. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you can solve diabetes without medication. If you are a member of the Nation of Islam, we started this damn pandemic in March of 2020. You should be finished with diabetes by now.
Come on,
he said that you can solve chronic medical problems, sometimes in months or maybe years. Well, damn, you've almost had 2. Could you have solved the problem by now? I don't know. I'm not trying to sit here and knock anybody, but I'm trying to say if we took our teachings seriously and you had a medical problem, where the hell else are you going to find information that's more superior than the information that this man that we say we follow and that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan follows? He got it from God. Where are you going to get information better than that? Get in the book, start working hard. We don't know when this pandemic is going to end, but why don't you make a decision and put the work behind to be better when we come out of this pandemic than where you are right now? If that's your focus, ain't nobody gonna stop that. If that's your focus, we gonna see something different in you. You're not gonna look the same. You gotta change. If you're not doing it and you start doing it, everybody gonna notice it. About time we get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Show
sir.
the world that we have the best teachings. In one of the study guides, I'm forgetting which one it is, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we will not change people by force, and we will not change people by talking. We will change people by being and living what it is that we espouse. Let's get to it, brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, sir. Well, look, we are at unfortunately we are done with part 1, Dr. Achilles. We are done with part 1
of a 18-part series.
Of our volume series. So we want to thank you. You gave us some beautiful words just then, but if you have anything else on your heart you would like to say for final words, you can say it right now, sir.
I'm just thankful for you brothers, bro. I mean, like I said, I've listened to many of you all's interviews. I do a show every Tuesday. It's not easy. It's not easy to keep up with stuff. It's not easy to come up with an idea every week. And that's just me by my damn self. So I know it's got to be harder for y'all with 3. And now you added a beautiful God sister to the table. So, I just appreciate what you all are doing, bro. I pray that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan are pleased with our work, because we are trying to give the teachings to anybody that would be willing to listen. Absolutely. And our job is our duty is the delivery of a clear message.
Right.
And when I listen to you all, you're giving a clear message. I pray that I'm giving a clear message. And I pray that nothing I said offended anybody. But if you're offended by me telling the truth and being passionate about it, I won't apologize for that. But if I did say something that offended you in a way because of the way I said it or my personality, I do apologize. And I pray that I stay on self-improvement and get better at delivering the word and become as efficient as our minister is. So thank you all for the platform. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate you, brothers. And all we got to do is schedule it, bro. We can do part 9,650 if y'all want to.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Sister Mariam, your closing words?
Thank you, Dr. Achilles, for coming out. And I'm thankful for the brothers for having me on today, because I actually got to see more of your personality. I did not know that you were so trill. So I will make sure I start to tune into your program a lot more so I can get, all the wisdom and knowledge that you have from studying and everything that you're doing. So thank you for being transparent with answering all the questions that we pose to you, because honesty is key. Sometimes people want to make sure they give the most, what is it called? Political or
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, no, I just
appease the ear. Yeah,
exactly. So I appreciate your candor, and inshallah, we'll be able to see each other again very soon.
Yes, ma'am. Inshallah, for sure.
Is information about your show, is it on your website as well?
Yes, it should be. It should be. But y'all have the link for anybody that wants to come join tonight. We're celebrating 2 beautiful members of the Nation of Islam that just got accepted to medical school. So, inshallah, in a few years, we'll have 2 new doctors coming into the nation. And so we're going to celebrate them tonight. That's what tonight's show is about. Blackstream.live/TUWG. Come on in. Let's celebrate this brother and sister and send them on into medical school with all that energy so they can knock out these classes and come on back and start helping us heal our people.
I know who you're talking about too, brother.
Absolutely. Brother Kawi, you can go ahead and close out.
Dr. Keeley, man. So, like I say, I've been following you for a couple of years now, man. I knew you were gonna be out of sight, brother. You were just that, man. I really appreciate you simplifying the things. You know, you really can't get simpler than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
But to hear it live and hear it from somebody that's right before me, I can ask questions as it come to my mind, man. It's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate you coming to our show and being so patient with us. You know, and so please, man, let's do that 9,000 show one day and continue to help our people. And before I go, man, I want to give a big shout out to our official MNIB, the brothers from
yes, sir,
Manchester, England.
Yes, sir.
Watching
shout out to my brother. Yes.
You know who I'm talking about? Yes,
man,
sir.
That brother been supporting me since day one, man. I love my brother, man. Assalamu alaikum, black man.
Yeah,
may Allah continue to bless you all the way across that water.
That's right. That's right. So had to give you a shout out, but this time,
absolutely,
brother.
That's my brother right there.
I appreciate it, brother Jackie.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Aki, give us some final words, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Like the brother said, Brother Keeley, thank you. Yeah, we've been chasing you down for quite a while.
I didn't know I was that hard to find, bro.
Yeah, man.
Right here.
Like you said, you know, putting these shows together and trying to reach out and find people and getting in touch. It's the pandemic has put a little roughness on it, but like you said, we have to really strengthen our network because it shouldn't be that difficult.
Right.
I got to find out who I know that knows who I know that knows you. Come on, guys. We want brotherhood and sisterhood. We really got to. We really have to work hard on getting it tighter. But you know, that's always.
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank Sister Mariam. I wanted to address our audience, and again, I wanted to reiterate that we've had 4 shows dealing with the pandemic, the treatment issues, the fitness training, dealing with mental instabilities, and tonight, the eating habits. So if you go back on our shows, you know, we're not trying to win the award for the best show. We're not trying to win the award for the greatest host, but we want to give this information out because this fight is serious. Like Brother Jackie said, we're losing brothers and sisters left and right. And we're losing them. A lot of it is because the lack of knowledge. So when they're affected by the pandemic, they don't know how to respond.
That's right.
They're not preparing themselves in advance to deal with this. They don't know what to take, what not to take. They have the knowledge, but it's a little misunderstood on how to effectively apply it. So we're getting the guests on. We're having the shows. We want to deal with it. We want to win the fight. We want to come out of this stronger. We want to come out of this with our nation stronger and united. We want to help our people who are not in the nation. We want to give them this information because ultimately we want to see our people win all together. So thank you all for joining on. I'm Brother Ahmed. Go ahead, Brother Jack. Take it on back.
Hold on, Brother Jack. What can we get that CD from, Ahmed? At what price?
What CD?
That lecture you just gave me.
Dr. Keeley, we want to thank you, first of all, you know, for picking up How to Eat to Live, brother. We have had a little vacuum, really, since Dr. Aleem, who was the drum beater for How to Eat to Live, and we thank you for picking up How to Eat to Live, brother, and and being that reminder for the brotherhood and the sisterhood, you know. And then I'm really loving how you're able to just, when you hear a word, you know, oh, it's in the book. You know, I'm loving it, man. And it's inspiring. And I'm thanking Allah for you, brother. And keep doing what you're doing, brother. Our nation definitely needs it.
That's right.
We have seen the change from when Hadith to Live has not been pushed as it used to be. So thank Allah. As a matter of fact, when you came in the nation at one time, you was giving message to the black man and Hadith to Live. And that was the study. It wasn't no study, guys. It was get right first, get your mind right, get your body right. So
if I may just say this really quickly, I just want to ride on what you're saying and thank Dr. Arlene, because he was a mentor. He was the example. He started the trail.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciate him, and I always want to give credit to where credit needs to be given.
Absolutely, brother. We definitely appreciate Dr. Arlene. So now we appreciate you the same. So keep it up, brother. Keep pushing. Get you some mentors under you. Get you some young people.
Yes, sir.
Put that how to live in them,
yes, sir.
And let's keep it going, man.
For sure.
So look, this is Jock Nation. We just put another one. Let's go, Ahmed. Take us out.